And good evening to you. I'm Liz Chow.
And I'm Bill Ritter. It is a disturbing juxtaposition. The MTA threatening huge service cuts and double-digit fare hikes, while some of their workers are discovered by the Eyewitness News investigators wasting time and taxpayer money. Jim Hoffer here with the results of his 3-month investigation. Jim?
Bill and Liz, you know the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. In this case, it's video. And as you watch it, keep in mind, those who run the railroad want to raise your fares because they claim they're broke. He's supposed to be working. Instead, this transit track inspector is headed home after a little grocery shopping. These transit employees should be working too. Instead, they're using the MTA dump truck to drive 30 miles to a beach on Long Island to hang out, chat, and catch an ocean breeze. Other transit workers have so much free time during their 8-hour shift, they set up an outdoor gym where they can exercise at all hours of the workday. How many hours do you, on average, actually work on the track in an 8-hour shift?
Typically, it's about 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. Actual work.
Fed up with what he calls a culture of waste and abuse at a time when the MTA threatens record fare hikes, this track worker, who asked us to conceal his identity, says the problem starts high up. Where are the bosses? Where are the supervisors?
The supervisors are there. The problem is that supervisors allow this type of behavior.
That's why we've chosen not to identify individual workers. Instead, look at this pattern. This track worker signs in just before 8 a.m. A minute later, leaves, ending up at this restaurant, where he spends the next hour having a leisurely breakfast. Then it's over to a nearby park, where he reads for nearly 90 minutes. First the newspaper, then on to a book. He arrives back to work around 10:30. Sometime between 11:30 and noon, he and the rest of the track crew finally begin their work assignment, which takes about 90 minutes to inspect the track. Then he's off again, this time to another park, where he spends the rest of the afternoon reading his novel. Not bad at $25 to $30 an hour, plus full benefits.
They're not to blame. The people to blame are management. Management supervisors are supposed to keep control over this.
Take a look at this track worker. He uses his free time to run a business on the side. Several times we watched as he slipped out of work to head to his bar about 5 miles away. Here he's entering the bar an hour after his workday begins. He stays for about 30 minutes before heading back to his real job at the subway. By early afternoon, he's back at his bar. On another day, he spends just 15 minutes inspecting the tracks before heading off to run his bar. That same afternoon, he runs some errands, picking up cases of liquor to stock up on his inventory. On yet another day, he's at the bar by early afternoon, talking for a couple of hours before he heads back to work to clock out at the end of his shift.
Technically, you work in a full-time job and you're doing part-time work.
For 3 days, we tried to get New York City Transit to respond to our investigation. They declined and instead released a statement calling our findings disturbing. The agency says it did alert the Inspector General, and if our allegations prove true, they say they'll take disciplinary action, including possibly dismissal of workers and even criminal prosecution. He's back at his bar. The head of the Transport Workers Union says there's a reason why we found so many workers killing time. It's because, he says, they're not allowed on the tracks during rush hours, and their bosses want them to lay low.
Transit workers are discouraged from assembling on the station platforms or in the entrances to stations out of concern that the public can easily misunderstand that and believe that they're lollygagging and they're just idling or lounging.
Hanging out in parks, lounging at the bar, passing time lifting weights, while those running the railroad threaten fare hikes. Can't we do with fewer track workers?
I don't think so, and I think
and just give them more than 2 hours of work in an 8-hour day.
I actually think it is very untypical what you describe.
Tomorrow in Eyewitness News at 6, Part 2 of our investigation reveals just how typical the 2-hour workday is among track crews that we monitor. Now, if you have an issue you need investigated, please give our tip line a call at 877-TIP-NEWS. You can also email us at the.investigators@abc.com. The big question here, how widespread is this abuse and waste? Sources that we've spoken to say it runs pretty deep.
I think people are just speechless.
I
This
think
video.
people are going to be absolutely outraged, especially when they're looking at $3, possibly $3 fares now.
Yeah, and tomorrow night will show that this is happening among a broader spectrum of track crews.
We look forward to that report.
Thanks,
And
Jen.
hopefully some action.
Yeah.